Yeah. A colleague of mine who used to train uh, uh, internationally practicing lawyers doing Tai Chi and stuff, and he would get the whole group assembled like this, and you start to sense like, oh, we're about to start, and people stop chatting and sit down and all the rest. And he'd wait till that little period happens, and then he'd walk to the back of the room and wait till everybody turns around, and then he'd start his lesson. And he said, all the troublemakers are in front now. And he's like he could manage them because he's like they're worse than kindergartners, you know. uh, and that's what he would regularly do. He would just turn the whole class around without any warning. Yeah, yeah. It was pretty good. I liked it. Okay, we're all good. Everybody's here. All right. So we'll start with the feet apart. Let me know if you can't see or I need to shift or whatever. Now I have to start all over. So you can have your feet apart or open, I guess I might say, or squared ahead, forward, whatever works for you. And we're going to shift to one side, shift to the other, shift to one side, let the arms hang, relax. And what I want to do is just kind of feel like I stay vertical as I shift rather than something like this. And the way that I do that is I think about placing my knee where I want it in relation to the foot below it, and then placing the other knee where I want it. And as I do this, I want to practice with a little bit of a dip in the middle, just like an inch or so. Mostly so you feel it, but you probably don't really see me doing much of a dip. It's not very overt, but you feel it. And as we start to do this, I want to kind of tune into the foot that I'm leaving behind, staying connected to the earth rather than kind of rolling. Another way to think of this is that the knee that I leave behind, the unweighted knee, doesn't kind of collapse in. And rather than my spending my focus on the knee, I think about the sole of the foot. Now, in addition to this, I'm going to open to the side I arrive at by turning the trunk. So when we put all of this together, and let's just get the breathing going so that when you go to one side, it's an exhale, going to the other is an inhale. Inhale nose, exhale mouth. So we have a little dip, a little turn. Hello, Barbara. A little dip, a little turn. Good. And then, now we're putting all of this together, all those little elements we've been working on. We're going to let the arms that are swinging really be free to swing so they find my torso with a bit of a pat or a thump. I'm trying not to be very specific about where they land, but I want to kind of let them bump into my thigh or hip or side or belly, like a little rhythmic thump. Okay. We're going to do it again since we kind of did everything that time. I've been doing pieces of that every week. I think we might have hinted at the whole thing once. There's two basic versions of it with the feet forward or the feet open. So either's fine. And if only one is fine for you, that's your only one. Don't try and do the other if it bothers you. And essentially in the middle, we can have a dip or a hump. So I can be doing, I'm exaggerating a bit, I can be doing this, or I can be more like going over a speed bump. Same idea. Whichever one you want to do is fine. I'm going to just do the other one now because I did one. But other than that, it's the same exercise. Trying to have the breath carry me, trying to place the knee where I want it, let the arms be free, let the arms come into tap or pat or thump as we go. So I'm not doing stuff with my arms. I'm just kind of, it's like having a ponytail. If you're moving, it bumps into you. I used to have hair. Now I'm sad. I do, thank you. You get a gold star. Best student of the day. So overall, we have this simple practice of shifting the weight, building the stance over each leg, connecting the breath, and being a little inspecific and playful, and getting a little invigorating percussive massage. Yeah. And continue that with the massage we've been doing on the lower back. So this is just a review for this one today. If you want to see it more close up or have a question, entertain it, but otherwise I'm going to try not to reteach it. And the reason I want to review this is I want to include this in a new practice we're going to do today. So when we get to this, we'll have been practicing it just a bit earlier. You're basically going from the upper edge of the lower back, and then near the ribs or so, and then down to the center of your belt buckle or thereabouts, at the top of the buttocks, the bottom of the back. And remembering to breathe and remembering to soften the shoulders. So let's go through a little bit of the choreographic practice. Then we'll do the new practice, then we'll come back to the choreographic part so that we sort of break it up a little bit. Upper and body, upper and lower body distinguished. And the left foot steps towards the front of the room, facing that direction with the toes. Shift to the left, so that's that knee going over the ball of the foot. And I'll just give you the side view here, which is harder to get where you are. Front view. And I guess the other side, if it helps. It's pretty easy in this posture to, if you watch my height as I do this, which direction do I want to do it? I'll do it in this direction. So I'll go fast just so it's not boring. If we watch my height, we'll often see something like this, like at the end of it, I stand tall. And what I want to do is commit to sitting into it at the end. So if I'm not already just a hint shorter, then I definitely rediscover that at the end, right? Rather like we were doing here, where we kind of just a bit of, I wouldn't even call it a squat, but a little bit lower. There's that emphasis, okay? The good news is that Tai Chi is very, very subtle. Like something like this little sit is very, very subtle. So if you don't do anything, it'll look like you did it right. So it's a little cheat. So here again, just a little sit, a little commitment to sitting into the leg as though it's a chair. Free the left foot. Place it just a short bit towards the front of the room. The two hands are in conversation here. And then my right side turns to catch up, so I'm facing. Same thing, I re-emphasize that little sit. The right leg is free, steps off towards the parking lot. And now the rear side catches up and turns. So my left palm is more or less staying stopped to somebody in the parking lot. My right palm is more or less a handshake with its fingers pointing toward the front of the room. To put it another way, the two hands are kind of perpendicular to one another, and the palms are roughly facing one another. So the shoulders are soft. So your left arm, I want to have like that. Yep. Yeah. Or to put it another way, the right palm is x-axis, the left palm is z-axis. Or I guess we could say y if we stick to 2 dimensions. Good, nice. Let's try it again. So when we stop into those poses, something that very often happens in Tai Chi, because it's quite often taught in a group, and that means the teacher takes a minute to get around to everybody, which means somebody is kind of, I'm trying, and what happens is they add more and more tension while they wait, because they kind of feel like, well, this is the best I'm going to get it. So I kind of add tension to keep it there so that when I get seen, I'm as good as I began. But that's not the right path to Tai Chi. So what we're looking to do is figure out how elegantly we can hold that shape, like how little scaffolding, how little inner architecture there can be that still keeps the shape. Like I can do this, but that's not doing it. So as I'm holding the shape or that expression of energy, I want to be softening, melting, rather than fighting. I think I still have it. I think I still have it. And what tends to go along with that, and it might even be a hint to you as to whether or not you're doing it, is if, I'll exaggerate here with if you're listening. Like we're kind of holding something, waiting until it's time to stop or you get a correction, and then our breath kind of helps with that. So it might be hard to notice that you're kind of adding layers of external sort of skeleton to something, but it may be easier to notice, oh wait, I've just held my breath here. Oh, I just keep breathing while I hang out. Okay. I only bring that up because Steve messed it up horribly. Steve right here in the front, so just so you guys let's try it again. Here. Step. So very, very light, like goose down in the upper body, solid and supportive in the lower body. So once we're here, a little sink in, release the left, step, so your left foot points to the front of the room. Shift, kind of listen with the hands as they pass, ships in the night style. I'll just pause here for a moment. Here's the side view. And then we're going to kind of recommit to that left leg like it's a chair. And right foot steps in the parking lot direction. Again, those hands converse. Oh, good. Yeah. So the left elbow's hanging lower than the right, but each elbow has a sense of hanging. The left palm is observing the right palm. Do you feel this curve in there? It's not exaggerated, but it's there. Can I help?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put my hand on your belly, but I'm thinking about your spine. I just can't reach it. So think of this as being on your spine and follow me. Just your spine. Follow me. Reach to this palm. Follow.
Oh, from this point, go back.
From your spine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, there you go. There. No, soften. Soften. There you go. Good. Just turn in the left foot a bit more. It'll probably be more comfortable to have that turned. Yeah. Same thing, both of you, if you want to turn your left foot like 30 or 45 degrees. That'll probably help you feel like you can face this direction without strain. You still breathing? Good, good, good. Yeah, you adjusted your left hand. That was good. Yeah, good. Same thing still. You have that lordotic shape a little bit there. Okay. Okay. So we're talking about being shorter. Your torso is taller. Your legs are shorter. Make sense? We'll talk about that a little bit actually in the exercise we're doing. Last time we'll run through. Can I move you that way and I'll take your spot? Is that all right? That way I'm not behind you, but I want to get closer to the rest. I didn't want to get behind you and make it really tough. Thank you, Steve. Remember at the end, the wrists release, the fingers indicate the floor. And already those hands are in communication here, right? The palm faces the palm. Release the left hip and foot, step. And the weight's on the front, and then I turn. So just like this, I have my back foot turned part way towards where I'm facing. That's what I'm going to do in a minute when I'm facing the parking lot. The back foot will be turned part way to that direction I face. So here's the holding the ball. Step. So my right foot points to the parking lot. I shift onto it, and that's going to allow me to turn the left leg part way to that direction. Much better, Izzy. Yeah, great. So you probably want to scooch that left foot to point to her a bit. Yeah, and same thing, Elizabeth. A little bit towards me with the toe. Yeah, is that okay? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I would bet you could just be a bit bigger. Here, soften. Yeah. And that'll let this rest and nest a little bit better. I think you were just a little smaller than I think you have in you. Yes, correct. Yeah, because they're connected to the man, because they're connected to the hip, right? Right. So as the hip goes, the elbow goes. Yeah. I just got them backwards. In the mirror, it looked exactly right. Yeah, very nice. Good. Okay. Take a break, have a sip, shake it out. Do you remember that date I asked you to remember yesterday?
Which
The date?
May 15th? What was
May 15th. So, May 15th is a Wednesday, 7 in the morning. Yeah, I think I got that right. I'll be teaching Tai Chi every week through the end of August, same Wednesday, 7 a.m. in Deep River at the town landing. So, if you happen to know it or you want to join us, it's free, so I'm not selling anything. Um, but it's out at the Deep River Landing on the water in the morning. So if you know anybody in the area who wants to come, they don't have to be a resident. They don't have to sign up. You can just pop in occasionally or whatever. And so May 15th, yeah. Yeah, I could send you, if you want, when we're done, I can send you a link to this stuff too. Um, and the other bit of announcement, I think you guys, when you guys signed up the legal form at the very bottom in very small letters, it mentions the culture in. So uh, is it the 20, is it the 30th? That can't be right. April. There you go, 27th. So April 27th, which is a Saturday at 10 a.m., people around the world who do Tai Chi all practice at 10 a.m. local time. So I would invite you wherever you are to practice at 10 a.m. local time. The idea is that everybody's kind of part in your time zone doing the same thing. And then time zone by time zone, there's like a wave of that kind of Tai Chi going across the globe, which is pretty nice. And there are events all over the world. So if you're up and adamant enough, they're all free events. You can stop at one of the events and do some Tai Chi with other Tai Chi folks, or usually there's free classes and other things to do. I'll be, I think, in Colchester in the morning, and then in Milford in the afternoon, and then online with the London group, whenever that time zone is, I'll be doing that too. So there's a lot of fun stuff to do if you want to be part of it. But again, it's not selling anything. Just in your own kitchen, if it's 10 a.m., maybe you want to tune into, hey, other people are doing this right now, and it's. I already
last
forgot the
Saturday?
number. I already forgot the number. That's a feature of Taoism. I don't know anymore what number I said. Yeah, so last Saturday in April was 27 this year. Okay. Yes. It's pretty extraordinary there. Yeah, Rich is going to MC it this year, and David will be there.
Wearing
And
two sets of gloves.
yeah, yeah, and my friend Rich will be down from Vermont, and like, yeah, that was the group that we started way back when, many years ago when we just started this, and it used to be on Earth Day, and now we're doing like an after party in Milford at another school. So it's the site is WTCQGD.org.
World Tai Chi and Chico.
Yeah, WTCQGD. Yeah, World Tai Chi Day would probably just tell you. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a nice way. Yes, I think we started at 2 o'clock, so 25 minutes. Yeah, 40 years or something like that. Yeah, yeah, it's my whole life. This is it. Yeah, so, and maybe one day I'll feel good at it. Yeah, it's true. Maybe. I'll feel good at it. So we're gonna do uh, a practice now, and the way this is traditionally taught, I think, invites anxiety. So the lesson is great, but the methodology, I think, is at odds with what we're trying to do in Tai Chi. And so what I want to suggest is A, you're a kid, like a toddler. Um, B, it's a puddle that we're going to talk about, like just almost nothing to mention. And it's icy, but it's just puddle, just that's it. And when you step on that, the ice may support you and it may crack, or it may crack and then your foot gets wet. That's it, just your foot gets wet, or the sole of your foot gets wet. And at our age, a puddle is like, oh, I'm scared enough already. Like, icy, I'm super, like, that's already scared. So that's why you're a kid. Even if you do fall, it's fun. You probably mostly kind of want to fall. You hope it breaks. And if you do fall, you bounce back up. It's all part of the day. And one of the important things that we try and get across in the practice of Qigong and Tai Chi is um, uh, making a chorus out of the breath, the brain, and the body so that they're all on the same page. And so we talk all the time about moving the body and moving the breath and having them coordinate, but we also want to move the mind. And one of the important ways that we move the mind is through visualization or imagination or playfulness, like a kid. So thinking as if you're a kid is already getting off to the right foot. So generally people will teach this and they'll just say you're walking on ice, but all of us immediately think it's a deep lake and nobody else is around and I don't know how deep it is and it's freezing cold and nobody will hear me if I cry. And then you're doing this Tai Chi practice, but you have this anxiety. So if we visualize, I'm just a kid, I'm in a snowsuit or something, it's kind of fun. Let's see if it cracks and what pattern it makes, or that's all we're doing. Okay? So here we go. And it's just called walking on thin ice, which is a phrase I heard my teacher say about me more than almost any other phrase. So I definitely learned this. So the idea with this is to just move through the room freely. Since it's Tai Chi, we could probably guess it's going to be slowly. And your attention is on the placed foot, testing the ice before you give it weight. And to help with that imagination, you might be walking along and there's no puddles, and then there is one, so I test it. And okay, that one's fine. But maybe the next puddle, just in my imagination, like, oh, it's cracking. Let me just go somewhere else. So you can kind of tell yourself that ice cracked. I'm going to, rather than commit my weight there, I'm going to choose another place for that foot that I just stepped. So I'll go fast so it's not too boring, but it will just look like, yeah, this is fast, just like this. And so I'm thinking about meandering. I'm not thinking about where I'm going. I'm just moseying around and I'm querying the ground when I place my foot before I give it weight. Okay? That's all we're going to do. And if the ice breaks or cracks, maybe it still supports you. And maybe when it cracks, it's a really pretty pattern and you want to take a moment to enjoy that in your mind. So just nice small steps. One way to ask yourself if you're doing this is to ask after you place a foot, can you change your mind about that placement? Can you, or are you already committed to it? It's very hard to think your way to play. What we'd like to do is play our way to not thinking. It's very hard to think your way to play. We'd like to play our way to no thinking. All right, take a break. So one of the things you'll notice in an exercise like this is that you didn't get anywhere because it wasn't about let me walk faster than her or let me get to that whatever the artwork you're walking over towards or something. It's about the way that you're doing the going. So it's if I said to you, "Hey, after, do you want to walk to Starbucks with me?" In your mind, like it might rain. It's not. Well, actually, it's not far. Yes or no. But if I said to you, like, "Hey, would you like to go for a walk?" You wouldn't have any sense of where we're going. Like, there's no arrival. We're just going to enjoy our time together and exercise, right? And this is that latter idea. It's just about the process of walking, not about where I got to. It's about how I was walking. So we're interested in doing this and uh, doing it without any anxiety or anything like that. That's just the word I'm using today, such as you'd have if you pictured yourself on a frozen lake. Don't let it crack, you know. And we're working on this skill that in Chinese is called tingjin. And we might translate tingjin as a cultivated skill of listening. Since there are men here, I'm going to repeat myself. It's a cultivated skill, believe me, this is possible, of listening. So it isn't just I heard something, but it's actually cultivating the skill of participating in the listening. It's not just do your ears work and did you clean them out, but it's a skill to cultivate. And of course, when I say listen here, I don't literally mean the ears, right? So sometimes we talk about it in terms of feeling, like sensation, not just purely listening. But having said that, when we're thinking about the ice maybe cracking, maybe part of it is your ears. Like, huh, did I hear it crack? And maybe that's part of the delight because we're just kids. Nothing's going to go wrong. And it's kind of fun to hear it crack. Maybe I want it to crack more and I put some more weight on it until, okay, that's enough. And then I'll go somewhere else. Okay. So, a really integral element to Tai Chi practice is what's called Tingjin. And in fact, we can look at most of the things that we do in Tai Chi as their practices of Jin. So Jin is that cultivated skill term, and Ting is that listening idea. So there is a bunch of Jins in Tai Chi, one of which is Ting Jin. Right. So much of the art is really interested in developing these particular skills. And this is one, and this is just kind of one way to do it. So we're going to try it again, but I'd like you to try it backwards. Backwards. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, yeah. So immediately most of you are going to choose to take slower steps, and you can certainly, if you'd like, try it, using a chair for support. And if you'd like, you can go forward and sideways and occasionally backwards just to test it out. But we want to feel like I can listen and enjoy that listening and the fun of the visual as I practice. I'm not correcting, I'm just feeling. You can keep going, I'm just feeling. So more concave there as you step back.
I am more
You
confused.
became as you step back. Pause, pause. From here. Yeah, better. Feel you're flat on me pretty
So,
well?
yes. So it's not just the main man, it's front too.
Right. Well, I'm trying to move your spine. I just can't
Yeah.
reach it. So I'm
Right.
not interested in the abdominals.
Correct.
That's just what I can touch.
Yes.
It's more the erector spinae than the muscles around that run up and down the spine. People put a lot of emphasis on the work of the abdominals in postural work, particularly modern postural work, like Pilates or Hatha yoga in the US and stuff. But usually an overemphasis there is a challenge to like a Taoist breathing. Yeah. That's not to say they're not involved, but people often look at them as the sole corrective. Okay, so next piece. So the practice that we're doing is a nice kind of easy Tai Chi practice. So we might think of it as very relaxing, very yin. Are we familiar with the terms yin and yang? Okay. So, but I would put it to you that this practice is fairly yang. You know, we're active in the stepping and we're doing the active listening practice. Even though we're relaxed and it's Tai Chi and we're going slowly, we're fairly engaged in this practice. What I want to do now, and this is it's really the second step, but once you learn the second step, I wouldn't really ever do the first step by itself. I would always do them together. So it might be the second part of this exercise. Remember, we're kids, right? This is important because if you say to a room full of kids, okay, we're zebra, before you finish saying it, they will all be zebra. If I say it to a room full of adults, people are going to say, is this a Thompson's zebra? Are we in Tanzania? Or what age zebra? Am I black with white stripe? All these, right, brain-driven questions, which is missing the point. Like, just be zebra. Come on. It's not complicated. And so, having established we're already kids, there's nothing anxious about the practice. We can do it forward and backward. What we may notice is that in this practice, we start to kind of do a bit of this, or maybe kind of over time, you're kind of here. And so the idea is the moon, which is up there, can't reach down to you because it's stuck up there. And since obviously it would make a wonderful hat, remember we're kids, so no questions. The only way to put that hat on is to stand up so the moon is there. So the second part of this practice is to wear the moon as though it's a cap, so that I have this lifting of myself and feel the moon. And the moon is a yin iconography, I guess. And so it matches the rest of the practice, which is fairly yang, to me thinking of the moon, right? Of that feminine energy, that receptive energy, that softening energy, that listening energy. Okay? So the same practice, you can go sideways, you can go to a diagonal, you can go forward or back. And as you're doing this, you're very aware of what's just beneath your feet, right? We're picturing the ice and maybe the pattern of the cracking, and we're very aware of what's just above our head, which serves to lengthen our awareness of the self. Like I'm thinking of the hat I'm wearing, and I'm thinking of just under my feet. So my vertical experience is just a bit more lengthened or extended than it would ordinarily be. And don't you look lovely with the moon for a hat? Wearing the moon as a hat. And so the foot is testing and listening and acting and reaching to step, quite rather yang things. And the head is touching the, the sort of wellspring of yin in the cosmos. And if you were to look down at your feet, the hat is not on you anymore. Maybe it's a very tiny step. Maybe you have more of a pivot than a step. If you're comfortable with your balance, perhaps your feet cross as you step. Perhaps you step and then kind of change your opinion and undo the step you just did. Are we breathing? Now, I probably don't have to tell you this, but if I had kids doing this, they would definitely be smiling. They wouldn't be thinking their way into trying to do it right. But I'll bet a bunch of you have kind of stopped smiling and you're thinking, you're overworking the experience. We want to play. My teacher would say, if your legs are shaking, that's what you do when you meet somebody. You shake hands, and your legs are just meeting work, and they're shaking. Nice to meet you, work. Which didn't make it any better when he said that. Didn't make it any better. Okay, take a break. So one of the things that we see in Tai Chi and indeed the related arts, uh, such as we hinted at Qigong today, is this sense that the way to do it is to follow a prescribed series of movements. And by the way, it's just the teacher who knows them, so you have to go to that teacher and follow that teacher in order to do it. But the truth is, and I do that for a living, so there's value there, I think, but there are practices that you can do that are free or extemporaneous like this. So you're not led by your brain, such as it is when you follow choreography or the teacher. I'm really just trying to have a way of stepping. Don't really care the pace or where I'm going or how long I do it. There's really just this way of stepping. And that's the practice. And if I start to coordinate the breath with the movements of the body and I stay in that sort of childhood believability mode, if you like, then we have all the pieces working together, right? It may not be as satisfying as, I got to do the move that I saw the teacher do and I learned that, but it is a very valuable practice. And once you understand the how of that, and that's really the whole lesson that we just did, you don't have to learn more beyond that. That's its own practice, and I'll just do that when I walk to get the mail or something like that. I'm kind of heading that way. I'll just try and walk in this manner. Okay. So my plan is there's a series of those, and we'll just kind of repeat them until we go through. I forget. I think there's like 8 of them. I'd have to count them in my head, and we'll just kind of do each of those, and we'll kind of end up with our own little curriculum set of practices from this teacher. But for now, we'll go back and we'll do the choreography. Okay. Any questions, by the way? Yes. Hmm. Like kind of in space this way. Hmm. Yeah, I'd have to watch how you're doing it because I might have other thoughts about it. So I wouldn't say in general it's good or bad. I'd have to see how you're doing it because there could be a. Yeah. So that makes sense. Yeah. What I wouldn't want to do is have the hands lead me, and I wouldn't want to have the hands draw me out of my alignment. Those would be the primary things. But if, like when I do it, I might be sort of swaying and kind of dancing and just getting into that enjoyment, and that can be fun. Okay, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, good for you. Well, thank you for that. Here we go. Weights on the left leg, the right side of the body turns part way to catch up. I'm facing forward, committing into that left leg, opening the right, tiny little step. And our final piece is to turn. Uh, from here, we're just going to turn our trunk to the right forward diagonal corner a little bit. And in turning the trunk, I keep my weight forward. I keep my right knee from moving. And I just turn from my belly button just a bit, maybe 30 degrees or so, just to the diagonal. So I feel like my left lower abdomen is a little stretched, and I'm kind of just addressing the corner. So I'll kind of do this over here a bit, maybe next to Izzy. So here's my starting position. So my left foot is partway turned to the direction I'm facing, maybe 30 degrees, 45 degrees. And then I'm just gonna open myself with the trunk just a bit. And you may notice that in doing that, my weighted leg doesn't change its state. Like my weight doesn't come off it, the knee doesn't move. I just feel like if there's wrinkles on my vest here, they'd be, what's the word, smoothed. The word smooth in Chinese is lu, smooth, lu. Yeah, just the lu that you're used to. So same thing here. That's why I'm saying it. Yeah, here. Yeah, like smoothing your beard or smoothing a sheet on a bed. Good. Again. Anybody want to shift around to get a different point of view and trade positions? You're all seeing what you can see? Okay. I'm hesitant to move myself deep in the class because I'm making people in the front not see at all, really. So, from that almost the last move, facing the parking lot, and just open a bit to that forward corner a bit. And that little opening there, if our left foot is still pointing to the front of the room, that little opening to the outside diagonal is probably not comfortable, probably not fun. So where I had been talking about having that left foot turned in a bit, that kind of leads to being able to do this comfortably. A little softer, softer, softer. Yeah, I think you started to, I'm going to move both at once. Like the whole thing kind of started to rotate a bit. Earlier it wasn't, so I didn't see when it happened. Hey, that's nice. You breathing? Well, yeah, I'll tickle you if I have to, but I'll get you to relax. Nice. Yeah, hey, that's better. There we go. Yeah, so that'll feel weird to you, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's good. Again? Okay. Think. Step that foot out. And then we're back to the front. And then, all right. Go ahead. Oh, when I turned? Yeah. That's why I think like moving around helps to kind of vary the bits that you can see. Let's do it one last time. So your homework practice, if you don't need to use the hands, like we were mentioning there, is to practice the thin ice stepping with the moon worn as a hat while you're doing this. Okay. Thank you very much. That was fun. Oh, look at that. All right. Thank you.